With the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select... I'm Zach Stevens, and we're going to dive into it on my first mock draft. And before we dive into that, I want to make sure you know the DNVR Broncos is your home for Denver Broncos NFL draft coverage. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future mock drafts and our live Broncos-focused draft show on April 24th. We have tons more to come leading up to the draft, but without further ado, let's dive into the Broncos mock draft 1.0. And with that first round pick in the draft, the Denver Broncos don't even get to pick 20 because they make a trade. They call the Miami Dolphins to trade up to the 13th spot, and the Broncos trade number 20, a third-round pick this year, and a third-round pick next year to move up 7 spots to just jump ahead of the Indianapolis Colts. And with the 13th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select tight end Tyler Warren from Penn State, and this is a home run pick for Sean Payton. He gets his joker. He gets his number one tight end, and he might also get the number one playmaker on the Broncos offense right away. Tyler Warren is 6'6", 260 pounds, and he is a monster. As a receiver, as a playmaker in the run game, he can do it all. He immediately comes in and changes the Broncos offense. He immediately comes in and becomes Sean Payton's joker that he's had with Jimmy Graham, that he's had with Jeremy Shockey, that he's had with so many players, and the Broncos finally get that. Sean Payton said he wants that from the running back position or the tight end position, and he gets it right here with Tyler Warren. He had 104 catches, 12 total touchdowns, and also added 200 rushing yards on the ground last year. He truly can do it all. Our guy Brian Baldinger told us on our DNVR Broncos show that he is Rob Gronkowski.
Have you been watching this tight end from Penn State?
Oh, yeah.
He looks like Gronk out there, man. Like, you give him Ty Warren and let him go to work. I mean, red zone efficiency. I mean, that guy looks like a beast to me.
Yes, you trade 2 third-round picks to move up to go and get Rob Gronkowski. Broncos home run pick right here. And you can find out more about Tyler Warren and 200 draft prospects over at our Die Hard Draft Guide over at thednvr.com. We've got over 200 players where you can see so much about these guys. So from first-round picks to seventh-round picks, even undrafted guys. So let's continue to go forward with this draft. Broncos still have their second round pick, and with their second round pick, they're staying on the offensive side, staying with the playmaker, and even staying with the joker role here. They're drafting running back TreVeyon Henderson from Ohio State. And TreVeyon Henderson, just call him Alvin Kamara 2.0 for Sean Payton's offense. He is incredibly fast. He is incredibly dynamic. He is a playmaker from the running back position who can be a 3-down back and also that joker spot. So in the first 2 picks of this draft, Sean Payton gets not 1, but 2 dynamic and elite jokers. But TreVeyon Henderson is more than just a joker. He is your 3-down back. He's great out of the backfield. He is just an explosive running back. He can work inside, outside. He's got elite speed. In fact, his speed is so good that I wouldn't be surprised if he destroys the combine, runs a very fast 40, and he's going in the first round and not even available right here. But it's still possible that he goes in the second round. Some people thought he was third round. I think he's going in the second round, so the Broncos have to use this second round pick to get Alvin Kamara 2.0. He's a guy that's led college football in rushing yards per attempt twice. This past year, he had over 1,000 rushing yards on 7.1 yards per carry. The Broncos need a running back, and they get a massive boost. He's your week 1 starter at running back for Sean Payton's offense. So he is a guy that is going to bring so much juice to this offense. First 2 picks, a lot of juice to the offense. The Broncos don't have that third-round pick, so we have to go to day 3 of the draft where we're looking at defense finally. We've squeezed enough juice out of the orange for the offense. Now we're going to the defensive side. outside. And the Broncos, they need some help in the middle, both defensive line and inside linebacker. They can address either of these right here, but the Broncos are going to go inside linebacker with their 4th round pick. The Denver Broncos select inside linebacker Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma. And you talk about prototypical inside linebacker. That's exactly what you're getting with Danny. 6'4", 240 pounds. He's a 3-year starter in Brent Venables' defense in Norman, and he can do it all. He's good in pass protection. He can blitz. He's good against the run. Biggest question and issue with him is sometimes he doesn't tackle all too well, which is important for an inside linebacker, but he has shown that he can do it. Just needs to shore up on that. But this is a guy who I think would be a great compliment to Alex Singleton, and he would really give Drew Sanders a run for his money to be that starter in week 1 if the Broncos don't bring back Justin Strnad, Cody Barton, and make a splash in free agency. He could actually have a chance to play on this defense this season, and if the Broncos decide to move Drew Sanders out to outside linebacker, this is a guy that could step in. Very nice compliment out next to Alex Singleton in the defense. He's had 3 straight seasons of over 100 tackles, an All-American. He's a captain, 2-time team captain, and he's in the backfield often, 37 career TFL. So we saw how Vance Joseph wanted to use Drew Sanders last year. That's exactly how he could use Danny Stutzman in this Broncos defense. So now, after that 4th round pick, Broncos want a little more juice on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have a 5th round pick this year, but they've got 3 6th round picks. So in the 6th round, with the first pick in the 6th round, Sean Payton and George Payton are going to help Bo Nix even more by giving him his brother. Bo Nix's brother, Tez Johnson, wide receiver out of Oregon, is going to be the Broncos' first pick in the 6th round. And Tez Johnson, what you're getting with him is a dynamic playmaker, elite speed, someone that when he has the ball in his hands, he could go to the house on any single play. And I said he's Bo Nix's brother because he literally lived with Bo Nix's family for years in high school, and then the two went to Oregon together, played together for 1 season, and that's when Tez Johnson had the best season of his career, over 1,100 yards. Broncos last year drafted Troy Franklin, who was, of course, with Bo and Tez, and you could argue that Tez Johnson was even better with Bo than Troy Franklin was. So you just get another playmaker, another speed guy, one that you hope has a little better of a connection with Bo his rookie season than we saw with Troy Franklin last year. But you get juice, you get chemistry, and you get a playmaker. In that 1 season where Tez was with Bo, Tez had 86 catches for 1,186 yards and 10 touchdowns. Here's why he would fall this late in the draft, is because he's very small. There's only been a couple of receivers that have been this small entering the draft, but Tank Dell is an example of that, and he is a guy that could be the next Tank Dell. So Broncos get him in the 6th round. There's a chance he goes higher if he blows the combine away, but also a lot of teams could be worried about his size. So the Broncos take a gamble here with so much upside. And with the Broncos' 2nd pick in the 6th round, they're going to stay at the receiver position and go with wide receiver Torrey Horton out of CSU, a local kid that the Broncos take here. And the Broncos don't need another receiver. They've got a lot of young receivers, but with Torrey Horton still on the board in the 6th round, they could not pass up this value. Torrey Horton, before he got injured in October, he legitimately could have been a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, likely a day 2 pick without the injury, but the injury knocked him back a little bit. He had to miss a lot of the season. If he's going to be able to run at the combine, if he is, he could put up a 4.40 and then get himself back into the 4th, 3rd round potentially. But if he isn't, and he doesn't have an impressive combine, that could drop him, and the Broncos should not miss out on this talent. He would be perfect in Sean Payton's offense, and we've seen Sean Payton take 6th and 7th round receivers and turn them into 1,000-yard receivers. Sean Payton told us at the end of the season he does not feel like he needs to invest big time in the receiver position, so that's why the Broncos' big additions this year in the receiver group are going to be with 2 6th round picks, and Torrey Horton, if he's there, the Broncos cannot pass up on him. He's He's a guy that he just produces. He led the Mountain West in receiving yards in 2022, led the conference in receptions in 2023. Both of those years, he was over 1,100 yards through the air. He produces, and Colorado State is known for turning out good receivers. Torrey Horton fits right into that mold right there. And to round out the draft with the Broncos' final pick in the 6th round and the entire draft, they're going J.J. Pegues, defensive tackle from Ole Miss. 6'2", 325-pound big man in the middle of Ole Miss's defensive line. But he doesn't call himself a big man. He calls himself on his Instagram an athlete. And you may be thinking, why is that? Well, because he does it on both sides of the ball. He gets after the quarterback on defense, and on the offensive side of the ball, he actually carries the rock. JJ, his final season at Ole Miss, he scored 7 rushing touchdowns on 21 carries. They put him at fullback, line him up there, give the big boy the rock. So if you're adding just a versatile guy, who knows? Sean Payton loves to use guys in different positions. Maybe he's not only a defensive tackle for the Broncos, but he goes over to the other side. This is an athletic guy, a playmaker. He can get after the quarterback, had 10 sacks his final 3 seasons combined at Ole Miss. And he's a guy that can eat up blocks at 325, but also pass rush. And this pick is in account of the Broncos potentially losing DJ Jones in free agency. They need another big body in the defensive line right up front. And with defensive linemen, you can typically get a better value. He could probably be a 4th, 3rd round pick, but because he's a big defensive tackle, he falls to the 6th round. Like I said, Broncos need an inside linebacker and a defensive tackle. They get the inside linebacker in the 4th round, defensive tackle in the 6th round, and that rounds it out. Broncos get a lot of juice on offense, get some key positions on the defensive side. So that's going to do it for this mock draft. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button on the way out, because we are your home for all Denver Broncos draft coverage.